And the problem is for the Prime Minister, more than a third of the parliamentary party has voted against her. Half the parliamentary party is payroll, has jobs. So clearly the vast bulk of backbenchers voted against her. And the key thing is, in 2017, after that terrible general election result, she came to the same committee room and said, I will only lead the party if I have the support of the parliamentary party. When you've got more than a third voting against her, she clearly hasn't got the support of the party. In my view, she needs to sleep on this overnight and decide, in the interest of the party, but more importantly, in the interest of the country, we need to have a new leader who can unify.
Hello, do you have confidence in the Prime Minister, Mr Gove?
I absolutely do. I've had a very good morning with a series of meetings with my colleagues here in DEFRA, just making sure that we have the right policies on the environment, on farming and on fisheries for the future. And I'm also looking forward to continuing to work with all my government colleagues and all my colleagues in Parliament in order to make sure that we get the best future for Britain. I think it's absolutely vital that we focus on getting the right deal in the future and making sure that in the areas that matter so much to the British people, we can get a good outcome.
Just suppose you're wrong. I know you don't think you're going to be wrong, and Mrs May is out after the vote tonight. Are there any circumstances in which you would put your name forward?
The Prime Minister's going to win tonight. The only leadership I'm interested in is making sure the Prime Minister continues in number 10 Downing Street. I want her to be safe there at Christmas, enjoying her Christmas dinner with Philip May, and I want her to lead us out of the European Union next March.
117 people voting against the Prime Minister is not the ERG.
But you effectively launched this, didn't you?
Yeah, I launched it, but it had to be much wider than the ERG to get this number. If you think that the payroll is 163 MPs, that leaves about 160 MPs, of whom 117 voted against the Prime Minister and 37 for the Prime Minister. That's a stunningly bad result. That she got the payroll, she got the people who had to resign if they didn't support her, backing her. But that's not enough. She does not have the support of the backbenchers. It is a much worse result than Downing Street was briefing out earlier in the day. They thought it'd be 70 of us, and the Chancellor of the Exchequer said we were all extremists who would be flushed out. Well, it's flushed out quite a lot of us, rather more than he's probably comfortable with.
What did you think of that? I mean, it was clearly aimed at you.
Sticks and stones and all of that. I don't worry about Treasury forecasts. They're always wrong.
OK, so what happens now? Because I can't imagine that it's in your interests, or indeed the ERG, to launch a guerrilla warfare campaign against the Prime Minister now that we've had this vote. I mean, she did get 63%. You're right. I would agree with you. It's not as much as maybe they were expecting. But she has got a job to do now, hasn't she? And she's not going to be helped by people undermining her at home.
Well, I think the difficulty is that she's done the job of negotiating the withdrawal agreement so badly that it's very hard to have any confidence that she will do it any better. And the pulling of the vote on Monday showed that she did not command the confidence of Parliament. And that's a real problem, because although under the Fixed Term Parliament Act there is a process for moving to an election, that's not the same as remaining as Prime Minister, and she's clearly lost the confidence of Parliament.
But you're not seriously suggesting that you think she will or should stand down as Prime Minister in any time soon?
I think she should. I think in all constitutional...
Even now, that's what you think should happen?
In all constitutional normality, she ought to stand down, because she cannot get her business through Parliament. And a Prime Minister is the person who is able to get business through Parliament.
But doesn't that show that you're a bad loser?
No,
I mean, she's won the vote today.
I think this vote is so much better than could have been expected, and the overwhelming majority of backbenchers is, I think, the key point. That if the Prime Minister can't keep the payroll, she'd have gone already.
So you are going to continue criticising the Prime Minister, holding her to account? Well, it's your job to hold her to account.
My job to hold her to account.
But it's not going to help her in her negotiations with the European Union? Or is it just, you just feel there's nothing she can do to get you on side?
I wish I could help her in her negotiations, but the negotiations have been handled extraordinarily badly. If the Prime Minister were to remove the backstop from the withdrawal agreement, I would support that. I don't like every element of the withdrawal agreement beyond the backstop, but I'm more than happy to compromise over the issues relating to the money and the role of the European Court in relation to citizens' rights in the interests of getting a deal.
Looks like a party just hopelessly split.
Well, we know there's massive disagreements about this issue. That's unfortunate, but that's not exactly news.
It's got personal there, hasn't it?
Well, I think this is an error. I think some of my colleagues made a mistake. The Prime Minister at this point wants to focus on pushing for that final phase of negotiation, get some resolution on the areas of the withdrawal agreement people are concerned about, particularly the backstop. She had a series of meetings about that, which are now going to have to be delayed. She's going to fight this. I hope she wins it. I think she will win it. And then we can get back to doing what the British people want, and that is getting out of the European Union on the 29th of March, making sure we do it in a way that doesn't damage British business and British economy, so we can focus on that job growth, that wage growth, the investment into police, the NHS, all that stuff that people demand of us, and I think legitimately so.
How confident are you that she can prevail this evening?
Well, the feedback I've been getting, both publicly and privately, shows that she does have a huge amount of support. I don't know. None of us can know for certain. I mean, it's a secret ballot, so you can say one thing in public and do something else in private, can't you? Well, that's true of almost all elections, but the point is that the feedback I've had from my association chairman, a number of people, staunch Brexiteers, many of them, staunch Brexiteers, is they want the Prime Minister supported. They want her to focus on what she promised, which is delivering Brexit, getting out on the 29th of March, and then focusing on the other priorities that we need to do as a government.
I think it's a remarkable result. 117 Conservative MPs have said they don't have confidence in the Prime Minister. That is over a third of the entire parliamentary party. It's well over half of the Tory backbenches when you take out what's called the payroll vote or the ministers and aides. You know, among the backbench infantry, over half have lost confidence in her. So from the Prime Minister's point of view, this is a pretty devastating outcome.
How humiliating was this for the Prime Minister on a scale of 1 to 10?
It wasn't humiliating. The Prime Minister has been listening to colleagues right across the House. We've had 3 days of very intense debate with colleague after colleague saying that the prospect of the UK being permanently stuck in a backstop was unacceptable. And so what the Prime Minister has done is she took the decision yesterday morning to go back to Europe to seek the legal reassurances that puts the UK Parliament with that democratic accountability to take decisions, and that's why this debate was postponed. She will come back and we will resume the debate, but it's absolutely right that we get a deal that UK Parliament can support.
I'm glad colleagues have supported the Prime Minister. We can all get back to focus on the key things. One is getting a Brexit deal that works for the United Kingdom and delivering on the domestic agenda, making sure that we are delivering good schools, good education, good job opportunities for people, the things that people want us to focus on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It may surprise the House, but I agree with my honourable friend from Broxtowe. Prime Minister, the whole House accepts that you have done your best. But the Labour Party have made plain today that they will vote against this deal. The SNP will vote against it. The Liberals will vote against it. The DUP will vote against it. Our key ally in this place will vote against it. Over 80 Tory backbenchers, well, it's 84 now and it's going up by the hour, will vote against it. It is therefore mathematically impossible to get this deal through the House of Commons. The stark reality, Prime Minister, is that it was dead on arrival at St Tommy's before you stood up. So I plead with you to accept the political reality of the situation you now face.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is the Prime Minister aware that if the media reports about the EU agreement are in any way accurate, you are not delivering the Brexit people voted for, and today you will lose the support of many Conservative MPs and millions of voters across the country?
Do not deliver frictionless trade either by a customs union or indeed by some magical third way that the Prime Minister thinks she can deliver on, and good luck to her on that. If we do not do that, thousands of jobs will go. The only reason that the government has accepted these amendments is because it's frightened of somewhere in the region of 40 members of parliament.
This has been a long and challenging day, but at the end of it, I'm pleased to have received the backing of my colleagues in tonight's ballot. Whilst I'm grateful for that support, a significant number of colleagues did cast a vote against me, and I've listened to what they said. Following this ballot, we now need to get on with the job of delivering Brexit for the British people and building a better future for this country. A Brexit that delivers on the vote that people gave, that brings back control of our money, our borders and our laws, that protects jobs, security and the union, that brings the country back together rather than entrenching division. That must start here in Westminster, with politicians on all sides coming together and acting in the national interest. For my part, I've heard what the House of Commons said about the Northern Ireland backstop, and when I go to the European Council tomorrow, I will be seeking legal and political assurances that will assuage the concerns that members of Parliament have on that issue. But while delivering Brexit is important, we also need to focus on the other issues that people feel are vital to them, that matter to them today, the issues that we came into politics to deal with. Building a stronger economy, delivering first-class public services, building the homes that families need. We owe it to the people who put us here to put their priorities first. So here is our renewed mission: delivering the Brexit that people voted for, bringing the country back together, and building a country that truly works for everyone.
But can you get your Brexit deal through?